Welcome back to another episode of Health Hacks as I continue talking about the power of your unconscious mind. And there's a really important factor here that I want to share with you, and that is simply that for you to get what you want, you must focus on what you want. Now, I know that sounds really simple, and I'm going to say it again though. In order to get what you want, you must focus on what you want. And that is because the unconscious mind doesn't process negatives. That's another of the prime directives, the responsibilities of the unconscious mind that I introduced in the last episode. It does not process negatives. So if you say, I don't want to be sick, the unconscious mind hears, I want to be sick. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So we have to always focus on what we want and say it the way we want it. So I want to be healthy is what you want to be focusing on. And yet, so many people, when you ask them, what is it that you want? They immediately start off telling you what they don't want, which lets you know where their focus has been and also lets you know what results they are getting. Because when you focus on what you don't want, you are going to get more of what you don't want because you literally are creating your reality through the power of your mind, through the power of your focus. And as you put your focus in that direction, the universe is responding and giving you what you are asking for. So my question to you today is, what are you focusing on? Is it stated for self, and is it in the positive? Because if you're using negative words, you will get more of that negativity. You will get more of what you don't want because you are literally using those words, and that's where you're putting your focus. An example of how the unconscious mind doesn't process negatives is when you think about children. They are living entirely in their unconscious mind. They actually haven't developed their critical faculty until ages 7, 8, 9, when they start to develop logical thinking and they can move more into their conscious thinking mind. Until then, they're entirely in their unconscious mind, which is their theta brainwave, where they can just download everything they need to learn in order to live by the rules of their family, society, school, etc., learn language, learn to walk, etc. There's no way kids could absorb that much information if they weren't entirely in their unconscious mind. And we as adults will often say to them, don't run, don't do this, don't do that. And they immediately turn around and do it. And we're like, what part of you didn't understand what I just said? And guess what? It's the unconscious mind. They're not deliberately defying you. It's how the brain works. And all they heard was to do whatever it was you just told them not to do, because the unconscious mind can't process that negative, the not. And I had an experience of this as a young child when I was 5, and my mom was cooking and she sat me up on the counter next to her right by the stove, and we were baking cookies, and she turned on an element to melt some chocolate, and then she went to get the pot. And before she went to get the pot, she said to me, "Don't touch that." And I literally have a memory of my little hand coming up and just going straight down and touching that hot element, which had just been turned on. So thankfully it wasn't too hot. However, I still burnt my hand. My mother looked at me going, "I just told you not to do that, and yet you immediately did it." And that's because my unconscious mind didn't understand that negative. It can't process it. And this is true in kids and in adults. And every time you say the word don't, the unconscious mind doesn't hear it. So it's really important to understand that. And again, I never learned that in school. Did you? I learned that going through my NLP training, and it suddenly made so much sense. And so now I focus on removing those negatives and I focus on what I want. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Figure out what it is that you want and focus on that in the positive. Has nothing to do about what you don't want. And that is how you start to create the life that you want. It's as simple as that. Focus on what you want and say it the way you want it.